Today on the PROLIFE podcast, did you know that scientists are already using AI to give human lives a numerical score? Yes, we need to talk about this. Let's get started.
I have one preparatory question. Are there any other quick examples y'all can think of when, or even recent ones where AI was used as a tool, but then quickly people said like, yeah, hands off, it can just run by itself. Like maybe the like the Tesla cars. I mean,
No, everybody's decided that letting AI just go do things is
very dangerous. So it hasn't yet been done.
The problem is there are so many people developing AI
on purpose
and
to run
on
itself.
purpose so it
so
can
it
run
can
itself.
recreate itself. Like that's literally the intention.
All the people who have made the highest levels of development in AI are all freaking out, going, whoa. Let's stop.
Exactly.
Put it back. Put the genie back in the bottle.
Why don't we go back
You
to
can't put the
Clippy?
toothpaste back in the tube.
I heard that AI, basically the as much of a definition as we can have in AI, is that when it's able to reproduce itself, you have quote unquote succeeded. Like that is the actual goal of the true computer scientists who actually want to develop AI. Everyone else talks about AI, but what they really mean is like a software that is very advanced. But true AI is when it can reproduce itself. Has that yet happened? Are we everyone? So far what I've heard is that we're so close.
No, the higher levels of ChatGPT, they gave it the task of copying itself somewhere else. And
has it succeeded?
Gave it some money to do that, and it scammed a guy on Fiverr to get past a CAPTCHA bot to keep it from downloading and uploading itself. So yeah, it beat a CAPTCHA and it copied itself.
We have officially reached that stage.
We have officially reached
in the
that
last
stage.
few months
the goal,
of 2020.
Okay, so there's AI, artificial intelligence, and there's AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is not just AIs are typically developed to do a task really well, like write an article or write your term paper for you. Don't do that.
That's not allowed.
Do not. I mean, there's all kinds of things where because it is mathematically picking the next most probable word, it will invent things, right? So you have to fact check everything when it does its thing. AGI is kind of a melding of a bunch of AIs that are the best of the AIs that are good at a bunch of different things to make one that's good at anything you might give it. Some people think we're way far away from that because that's going to take a lot of resources. The problem with this podcast I was listening to, I can't think of the gentleman's name. He was one of the lead research, the head of research at Google X. You get one bot that figures out a thing, finally, months and months and months of research, and then eventually it, pick up the ball, and it finally picks up the ball. And okay, cool, we've spent $1 billion in getting one bot to pick up a ball, and then 3 days later, all the bots pick up all the balls because now we know.
Oh. So it progresses exponentially quickly.
It does once it hits that thing, and so the idea that we will have trouble creating this AGI is not once you start applying AI to the task of merging all the AI.
Right, which basically means reproducing itself. So it's already
advancing.
happening. It's going to happen way
advancing
faster.
itself at ridiculous rates. I could really go down the rabbit trail.
Well, it's important
things
for
AI can
talking
do
about this topic. So, there's quite a rabbit hole there.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
It's a great intro. We should.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
thinking about it.
Yes. Hi,
the whole
everybody.
intro.
I'm so happy to be back.
Glad
It's
to
been a
have
few
you.
months.
Veronica, welcome back.
Love talking about doomsday with you guys.
It's a topic we discuss too much. It's the times we live in, right? Okay. Hi, friends. Welcome. Happy Thursday. After that. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the table. I hope you've got a lot of coffee or a red Solo cup.
Yeah, mine's down here. I'm hiding it. What's in my cup?
It's just water, okay, people?
It's water.
I'm a mama of 4. It's just water.
She's a nursing mom. She's got to be water right now.
Yep.
Okay, and you brought your kid.
I did.
It's good to see him.
Back.
Yay! Cute Ben is in the office. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Topics. a company has developed AI to help select which embryos to implant, progress with in IVF to help IVF processes. And so now that I've had my little rant about AI. But by the way, sorry, this is all out of order now because we just started talking. We hit record and we just started talking. Friends, if you could introduce yourselves to the listeners at home who may not be watching and get those little subtitles of whose name's who.
Kim Schwartz, Director of Media and Communication.
Veronica Arnold Smither. I just go here sometimes. What do I do now? I help with education. Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I just help with the education program sometimes.
Awesome.
And full-time mom of
yes.
four.
So I worked here full-time for 10 years, and it was amazing. And then I had a bunch of kids, and I needed to slow down.
It's a good reason.
And Brent Klingerman, obviously, head nerd. Okay.
You never disappoint in that title.
Well,
that changes every time.
It does a little bit. Head nerd. To say head nerd, it's in a very specific category though here because there's a lot of nerds who work here.
That's true too.
So, head computer nerd.
Yes.
Qualifiers because.
Can I be head nerd of doomsday topics?
There's a lot of people around here going to fight you for that.
Oh man.
Okay, so. Topic at hand. The AI-powered embryo evaluation software called Emma.
What? I didn't know the name. I missed that part.
It's designed to process vast amounts of data beyond what even I could detect to simplify the embryo selection process.
There's already birth controls named Emma, so it's just
Ella,
making me laugh. Oh, Ella. Yeah. Ella and Emma sound like friends.
We're just taking all of the eugenics and they're friends, they're sisters. So we
Okay, back on track.
Glad you're here. But we've talked about a similar topic of AI being used to detect fetal anomalies. Just the FDA recently approved this for all pregnancies. But this is different because of its use for IVF. The previous topic where we said the AI being used to detect fetal, illnesses or any other maternal conditions that there could be, that could be used for good, that we can better know the child's health and make decisions to improve their health or intervene in some way to help the child's life or the mother's life. This is different because the AI is being used to decide which babies are we going to kill more efficiently.
Right. So this tool of AI, just like any tool, it's supposed to be used in either direction. It could be used in either direction, for good or for bad, but IVF as practiced is inherently wrong all the time. So it's there's no way that this could actually go well.
So let's back up a bit. Let's back up before the robots got involved. And then the dragons came. No, sorry.
What is IVF?
Let's back up.
There's a lot of things we need to define.
We can't really jump into what this means without having a solid what is IVF and why are we doing that?
Right. Yeah. It's complicated, man. IVF as practice currently is inherently wrong. I always have to preface that the people who are created through IVF are people and they belong here and they're good and they're beautiful and we're glad that they're here. But there is a problem with the scientific process of how they were created because what it inherently requires killing other children, and that is a very serious topic. And a lot of IVF babies are way grown up now and have become aware with that, and it's a weird kind of baggage to think they have siblings who didn't make it. And it's often coined as this kind of honorable sacrifice, and that the parents have to go through so much to have this baby. But they're not talking about what is sacrificed. It's actually, it's not just time and money and pain and medication and all that. It's actually human life that is sacrificed. Yeah. And that's a big deal. And the way this works, because this is big, is it starts with harvesting many eggs. And we could talk about the ethical dilemmas of that and how painful and difficult that is. But what the biggest crux of the issue is when they fertilize those eggs, And now they have human embryos, and they usually do like half a dozen to a dozen for one couple.
Okay,
Maybe they only want a couple kids.
6 to 12 kids in a petri dish.
Exactly. And so then they have to evaluate those little embryos to decide which ones are most viable to implant into the woman. And that could be simply for health reasons. But Australia made it big news a couple years ago when they started very overtly looking for gender, that maybe they wanted a baby girl or they wanted a baby boy, and so they used IVF specifically to achieve getting pregnant with the gender of the child that they wanted. And so a lot of people were like, wait, we just thought you wanted to have a baby because maybe you were sick and you couldn't have a baby naturally. Now you're using it for selecting gender. That's wrong. That's sexist, things like that. Well, now imagine doing it Gattaca style for IQ level. And now, because we have so much information on the human genome now and genetic diseases and disorders, that's a good thing, right? We want to know about our genome and know what diseases and disorders we are prone to through our heritage. But
Sorry. Do you remember when we were kids and it was like, oh my gosh, the mapping the genome?
Yeah.
Like, how will we ever store all that data?
I know. What year was that again? It was
in the 90s.
Yeah, it was 90s. It's just amazing how far we've come. Like, and it was like a scientific miracle. People were over the moon excited about decoding the human genome, and now
we all order the little kits on Amazon and ship it off to somebody to find out.
Right, like spit on this, send it back in the mail.
Right?
Like,
Yes.
yeah, it's so easy. It's incredible. And this is a good thing, right? Like, where I was able to find out that I don't have a specific gene for cancer because of this.
Yeah,
like,
praise the
Lord.
my mom
Helpful.
has cancer or did. She's alive. She's doing amazing. Praise God.
the Lord.
But she has this specific gene, and I was able to use this decoding the human genome to find out that I do not carry the specific gene. So that's very cool. But we were also able to use this information to decide which children in those petri dishes to discard. And so they rank them. So this is old news. They've been doing this for forever.
Yeah.
Now we bring in AI.
And then the robots came.
Yep.
And so it's actually, where's the sentence? This AI can be trained to detect embryonic features that correlate with different outcomes, like genetic abnormalities, implantation, or gender that can't be seen with the human eye. What?
Yeah. So what they're saying now is it's not just a human looking at this information and deciding which babies to keep and which ones to discard.
Right.
We're going to involve a computer.
Now they're saying that, each embryo gets a numeric score and, the doctors make final decisions and that kind of thing. But
for now, the doctor makes the final decisions for now.
Well, even then, like, if the doctor's making the decision of these babies will die and these babies will be implanted and hopefully be carried to term, that's not great either. A human deciding which babies die and which ones don't.
That was already wrong.
That's already wrong.
IVF
IVF is already a disaster. Like, in theory, you could say from a pro-life perspective, like, if they implant all of the children and are dedicated to trying to preserve all of these children's lives, then you could say, okay, maybe from a pro-life perspective that IVF is...
Maybe.
Yeah.
Still iffy.
It's still, like, the industry is just such on this track, though. It's like, the question is IVF, like, salvageable? Is it worth, trying to make the argument for it? And it's like, more and more the industry is just so committed to, not doing this as unethically as they possibly can. And so that's the direction that we're headed right now.
Well, let's take a quick break and then we will answer further questions about
Good call.
the ethics of IVF and can it be safe after this.
Join us on September 23rd for our annual Life Gala in Houston to celebrate our 50th anniversary protecting life. We are excited to announce that Kirk from Growing Pains will be giving an amazing speech. This year, the pro-life movement has been attacked more than ever before, and future generations need you to step up in this chapter after Roe v. Wade. Seats are filling up fast, so click the link in our description to get yours today. Join us as we honor God for all that He has done in these past 50 years. We can't wait to see you on September 23rd.
Great news. Texas Right to Life is celebrating our 50th birthday this year. This is half a century of victories that the Lord has given us, but God is not done yet. the battle for life is only increasing as the abortion industry is going underground to promote death and cell abortion. Join us in supporting Texas Right to Life's 50th birthday campaign and chip in with a gift today. Thank you for 50 years of saving lives. And friend, the best is yet to come.
Welcome back, friends. I hope we haven't scared you off with all this weird AI robots picking which children exist. Oh, that's a terrible. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Here we are. Welcome to 2023. We're already almost over with it. So see you in 2024.
No.
Ugh.
Okay, back to your, what
Okay.
were your questions?
Well, so this is a normal practice in IVF.
Yeah.
And as we have advanced in our genetic knowledge, we've only done more stupid things with it, right? We've only
Most of the
gone,
time.
well, we can pick the gender, so why not? And we can, and then there's the whole CRISPR thing, and that's, that's,
Yeah, all tools that can be used for good or bad, but it's no surprise when they're used for bad too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so I feel like we are charging towards Gattaca.
Love that movie.
If you haven't seen it, it's old. You can probably find it in a $1 bin at Walmart.
Uma
but-
Thurman, pretty great.
It seemed like crazy science fiction 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And here we are, and we're picking genders and eye colors and
IQ
hair colors and hopefully IQs and things, right? Like, oh, I want them to be smart. Well, of course, yeah, we all want our kids to
Well,
be
we're
smart.
also getting rid of children who have like the BRCA gene or Down syndrome or various other genes that they may not manifest immediately when they're born, but later on they could be prone to different diseases. And so it's and I guess to think about it from the perspective of someone who says that's a good thing, like I can see where they're coming from. They want to eliminate disease in the world. And I mean, who wouldn't? You want to help eliminate suffering.
Yeah.
It's a really common principle that everyone can agree with. You want to eliminate or reduce as much suffering as you possibly can. But
Can we do it without killing people?
Exactly.
That's the question.
You always
That's
have
a
to
good
say,
goal.
don't eliminate the sufferer. Like that is the pro-life comeback that just never fails. Like you cannot eliminate the sufferer when you're trying to eliminate suffering. Like it's not how it works.
And specifically with IVF too, I think that we need to acknowledge that the parents who are pursuing that are coming from a spirit of goodwill. I think that they desire to be parents, that
Yeah.
they want children, and that's a good thing. But everything has to be done in a way that is ethical, that doesn't harm other people. And so many people just buy into the lie that IVF is compassionate because it helps parents who want to be parents to have a baby when they can't. And you realize, though, that it has such a high cost to human life. Like, we can't even fathom how many unborn children are being frozen right now, how many unborn children are being discarded.
Well, and that's
millions.
only really like the first step. There's a whole other step that really gets dodgy too, because like after you implant children, they usually implant more than one because they want the best success rate, and so they might implant 2 or 3. Octomom implanted 8. If everybody remembers Octomom.
Yeah.
And
been a little while,
all of
but
them took. What year was that?
That was like
been-
10 years ago.
Yeah,
like
like
20,
even
I
more.
think 20,
Kids are like in their 20s, I think.
Oh, okay. It was sometime between like 2008-ish and 2013-ish.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Broad strokes. Anyway, so women don't want to carry that many children in one pregnancy. And so if they were all to take and implant successfully, the doctors will offer what they call selective reduction, which is just a code word for abortion. And so then they have to choose which children to abort. And it's really messed up situation. And there's nothing really good about it. We praise and love the people who are here who made it. There's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
But it's like what we cannot forget what was lost in order to create a life.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Because I love science, I'm always trying to think, well, is there any way this AI stuff could be used, or is there any way that IVF is salvageable, like you said, or how could we use this in a better way? And I don't know that it's possible, but I like to brainstorm. But I just wonder, like, if there were a way to prevent let's say before you even fertilize an egg, like there's no human being created yet. Like if you have the DNA of the sperm in the egg and you use CRISPR to change something and then you do the combination, I wonder if that's even possible. But I feel like that would be insane. I'm going down a cool rabbit hole now. Never mind, ignore me. But I just wonder.
Could you, instead of killing off the people that have potential problems,
Prevent the problems.
Potential health challenges or whatever, take a step back even earlier and try and fix things. And the goal
I'm
is
not
to try and fix
advocating for
things.
this. I'm just brainstorming.
Yep. Fair.
Right.
You're not getting canceled today.
It's the thought experiment. Is there a way to make this work?
But then you wouldn't know the gene combinations once fertilization happens either,
True.
which is part of where the problems happen in the miscoding when DNA copies itself. Like that's when errors happen.
Right.
So yeah. Never mind. Ignore my rabbit hole. It's just interesting to think about.
I feel like at some point somebody tries to get there.
Yeah.
Those experiments will happen because we're humans and we do weird experiments because we think we can.
Right. It makes me just, every time this stuff comes up, I love to think about it. But then once I settle back, I'm like, can y'all just please just adopt all the children in need? Like, please.
Right.
There's so many babies, not babies, but toddlers and middle school age children who need homes.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just, if you really want a baby, there's so many kids who need homes.
Yeah. I mean, well, we had the Edwards in here. Tell their adoption story and their struggles with infertility and their amazing adoption story. Adoption is such an awesome thing.
Yeah. And of course people want to have their own biological children.
Yeah.
But like, I would not, I think it's dangerous to think like, I'm going to have my own child at any cost. Like I will do anything. Like anyone who says I would do anything, like think about that for a second. What is anything?
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
And ultimately understanding that life is a gift from the Lord and is not something that we can or should control in all of these efforts, even whenever it comes like from the parents, from a spirit of goodwill. Ultimately, we need to step back and remember that this is something that we have to surrender to the Lord. Everything that we have in our lives, including our own lives, is a gift from the Lord. And we have to surrender that to Him too. Because it's not ours to say, well, I would do anything for this and want to take that into my own hands.
Yeah.
It's not.
I feel like there's a couple examples in the Bible of people who went, I'll do anything to get the child I want. And they didn't wait on God's provision.
Yeah.
Things went sideways. And
yeah.
I mean, we all have friends who have struggled with fertility issues, and we feel for them in that. But dangerous experiments that cause the death of a lot of other children.
Right.
Sketch.
I can't sign off on that as an answer.
No, for sure.
And with this AI specifically, I think the difference between what we talked about in the last episode about AI with detecting fetal abnormalities, this AI that's very similar in concept of, let's use AI to screen preborn children for health conditions, and then the next logical step that humans take is like, let's use that to decide which humans live or die. The difference is that this IVF technology is already being in use in Europe, in parts of Asia, in South America, I believe. And so this is not, and it's suspected that this is going to come to the US pretty soon too.
Yeah, I would think so.
And so you can just see how this would cause not only a greater death toll within the existing IVF process, but also could open the door for IVF to expand even more and more couples seeking IVF, because it's like, wow, the success rate has improved because of this AI. And, you know, they see that as a good thing, but really it's just identifying and picking children that they're going to like to abort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all saw Man of Steel, right? I mean, we're
Man of
talking about
Steel, Superman.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The
I don't remember.
last iteration of Superman.
Like
And
10 years ago.
Before the fall of Krypton, that's where they were at. They were no children had been born naturally, and I forget how many 100 years they said, as they were colonizing the stars and whatever. And I think ultimately that's where humanity tries to get in this,
Right,
like,
we're
well,
trying
we're
to
going to
make-
create this genetically superior group, and we're
Yeah.
going to colonize space, and we're going to do all these weird things.
they're
Doesn't
calling
work
Not that we
out
can't
well.
go to space.
post-humanism. Yeah.
Yeah,
or
really.
I think they call it like humanism 2.0 or whatever. Like we're trying to become one with our technology so that we can be better and more efficient, which sounds really cool. But then you're like, wait a minute.
What
At
does that mean?
cost?
Can we do this
Yeah.
without losing our humanity?
Exactly.
And,
Probably not.
Yeah. So
There's a
take it
line.
easy, guys. Like I'm never just gonna be like, no, that's all wrong, because I want to ask lots of questions and evaluate it and think about it. But most of this you can see where it goes. You can
Yeah.
see very clearly like this is gonna be bad.
Yeah, it was, I think it was John Cleese, if you know Monty Python, John Cleese. It was an article I read, and it was a study about creativity and coming up with the most creative answer. And the people who came up with the most creative answers were people who sat with the problem longer.
Yeah.
Like when you sit with a problem and you go, okay, this is the answer, and you jump to that, you don't find a creative answer, you just find an answer.
Right.
You don't find you may not find the best answer, but you found an answer.
Right.
And the people who sit with the problem, understand the problem, really feel that pain of that issue and work through that, that's where you find the best answer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this is the same kind of thing. Like, there is a best answer here, but we're opting for, well, this is an answer. Let's just use that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's quick and easy. Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting that you said you think it might cause IVF to become even more popular. I could see that because there was an announcement recently that talked about the increase in infertility rates. People for years would talk about the rate of infertility was 1 in 8 women. Well, it's actually more now. I'm trying to remember the stat. I'll have to look it up and put it in the
That feels like
bottom
another
later.
episode.
But
Right.
yeah, there's been enough research now to say actually it's a lot more than 1 in 8. Now I think it's 1 in 6. I think that's what the new announcement was. So I mean that's a big jump in just a few years, and
is
these
a
are
big jump.
of course the only reason they know that these women have infertility is because they are wanting to have children, right? So that's how they
Right.
get diagnosed with infertility. Usually, there's some exceptions, but so these are people who want to have kids and can't. And then IVF is going to become more popular probably because of that. But then there's a whole other topic that's on the back of my head that I cannot stop thinking about. I love to joyfully, happily talk about doomsday issues because it's fun and exciting for me. So I've been reading this really interesting book called The End of the World is Just the Beginning. And it's by a demographer who his expertise is in literally demographics and
Right.
like fertility rates and world populations and stuff. And he's been telling people for years, but there's a lot more research now since COVID subsided, that the world fertility rates are just plummeting, absolutely plummeting. And this isn't really news, but there's not many mainstream outlets talking about it. So I am super curious to see how these two subjects converge eventually. Like if IVF gets really, really popular and AI is used to help it, but then there's so many families who do not want to have kids, like what will our birth rates look like? Because it's super, super important. We talked a little bit about that in previous episodes, but with the China episode, because their birth rate is so incredibly low. They're going to go upside down soon. And there's more old people than young people, and they won't be able to provide literally enough like food. Resources are just going to disappear.
Right.
And so there's another really interesting pro-life issue that we've never dealt with, famine. So I think at some point these are going to be topics that we're all going to want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like
It's
how do we
interesting
help
that
these
they're
people?
actively trying to use AI to enhance farming to
Yeah,
try and produce
maybe.
more food
See,
in less
and
space. It's like
that's a
we're
cool
trying to use this.
thing.
That is a
Yeah.
cool thing. It's almost like we're trying to use these tech things. Hey, there's no problems. Don't look over there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Like, yeah, we got this under control. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Like,
Right.
there's it's a scary issue that the American birth rate's down.
Yeah, but thankfully not as far down as the other Chinese. Like we're not at risk
No.
of going upside down for several generations, and by then things could change.
I saw a
quickly
really
enough.
interesting stat. Just sitting in traffic.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. But in
not
like
pro-life.
1970, I think the birth rate was like 3.8 something, 3.5 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And now it's barely 1.9.
You can see
Oof.
just the cultural impact that this entire anti-life ethic has had. That even before Roe v. Wade in 1973, abortion already existed before Roe, and it was this cultural like upheaval of we don't value kids. You don't really need kids. You don't. They're a burden. Other people, anybody who can burden you, are they really worth having around? That includes the elderly. That includes children. And now you're seeing this effect, and you see that people approach that as a solution to problems. So whenever it's like, okay, we have infertility, well, let's just go for the quickest. The first option that we have is IVF. It's going to mean that there's a human toll to it. But, does that really matter? No, it's fine. And then these other problems too, like euthanasia. Okay, well, we have these people who are going to require more time, more care for their illnesses. Well, are they really worth having around? No, that's okay. We'll just use assisted suicide. And it's just, we take as a human race, we just take whatever the most, the quickest and easiest solution that there is, which, are always the bad solutions.
Typically.
And not because we don't have that commitment to life as a society, we're losing out on so many better solutions that actually could cure or solve some of these problems, because if we had that commitment to life, then we would realize like, okay, we can find a better solution, not just take the one that's right in front of us that has the human cost.
Right.
And so there's a lot of fruit that is born from the pro-life ethic, and there's a lot of devastation that is brought by the anti-life ethic. So that's where we are.
It's true.
Amen, sister.
Well, this episode took kind of a dark spiral, guys.
But I'm still smiling about it.
Hey.
Because I think it's so interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, friends,
I don't know what you can do about that.
Go look up AI farming. I'm totally going to do that now that you said it.
That's really cool. Like
Yeah.
where they're like using lasers to decide what's a weed and zap it, so that there's more research. It's cool tech.
That is
Right.
It's cool tech. I'm like, that's cool. Let's do that. Let's not use lasers to zap children
Right.
before they're. Let's not let the bots do that.
Use your lasers wisely.
Lasers wisely.
Use your bots and your lasers. wisely.
And we're out.
What a weird ending.
Have a good day, y'all.
Thanks, friends. We'll see you next time.